Hello, class. Welcome to Book 9, lines 429 to 713. So, we're ending the really important Book 9. Book 9 is one of the core moments, one of the very important moments in the Iliad. And we're going to have an argument here made by Phoenix because, as you know, Accolas still refuses to fight, even though he still refuses to fight, even though there's really good reason. So we've had Odysseus just ended his argument, and Accolas says, "No, I still will not fight." Okay. And right at the very end here, you can see he says, "So let Phoenix remain here with us, so that tomorrow he may come with us in our ships to the beloved land of our fathers, if he will, but I will never use force to hold him." So, and we're going to find out here in a second why he asked Phoenix to stay. They're very close. But Phoenix is going to probably give, in my opinion, the best argument to accept Agamemnon's offer. So let's go ahead and start with that right now. All right, reading along. So here we go. So he spoke, and all of them stayed stricken to silence in amazement at his words. He just said no again. Remember, we talked, or earlier in the book, it talks about what Agamemnon is offering, and it's a lot. It's a great deal. He had spoken to them very strongly, but at long last Phoenix, the aged horseman, spoke out in a storm burst of tears, fearing for the ships of the Achaeans. And this is what Phoenix says. If it is going home, glorious Achilles, you ponder in your heart, and are utterly unwilling to drive the obliterating fire from the fast ships, since anger has descended on your spirit. So this is basically saying, all right, if you want to go home, and you're not willing to protect the ships, right? Drive the obliterating fire from the ships, since anger has descended on your spirit, how then shall I, dear child, be left in this place behind you all alone? Peleus, the aged horseman, sent me forth with you on that day that he sent you from Phthia to Agamemnon, a mere child, who knew nothing yet of joining battle, nor debate of where men are made to be preeminent. So Phoenix has been with Accolas a long time. Therefore he sent me along with you to teach you of all these matters, to make you speaker of words and one accomplished in motions. Therefore, apart from you, dear child, I would not be willing to be left behind, not were the young gods to promise me that I would scale away back in my old age and make me a young man blossoming. So a few things we get here. Phoenix is close to Accolas. Phoenix is a teacher mentor to Accolas, and Phoenix does not want to go. Okay, Accolas just said, "Hey, Phoenix, stay here. We're leaving in the morning." Phoenix goes, "No, I don't want to go." So, and then he's going to tie into his story a little bit here. So now we're going to start a little bit of the story of Phoenix and how he and Accolas are connected. Okay, so even if it was he wouldn't go, even if the god in person would promise to make him young again, running from the hatred of Ormionos' son Amyntenor. That's his dad. Amyntenor is Phoenix's dad. My father, who hated me for the sake of a fair-haired mistress. For he made love to her himself and dishonored his own wife, my mother, who was forever taking my knees and entreating me to lie with this mistress instead, so that she would hate the old man. So Phoenix's father is not faithful to his mother, and his mother wants him to lie with the mistress, okay, that has shamed her, so to kind of help her, I guess for some reason that she decides that that'll help her be angry with his dad, and that stuff always gets so complicated. So I was persuaded, and I did it. And my father, when he heard of it, straightway called down his curses and invoked against me the dreaded Furies, that I might never have any son born of my seed to dull on my knees. And the divinities, Zeus of the underworld and Persephone, the honor goddess, accomplished his curses. So because Phoenix sleeps with his dad's maiden, his dad curses him, right? So Phoenix is cursed by father never to have a child. And Zeus and Persephone, okay, they grant his request. So, what does that mean? Phoenix can never have a child, all right? And I took in my mind to cut him down with a sharp bronze, but some of the immortals checked my anger, reminding me of a rumor among the people and the men's maledictions repeated, that I may not be called a parasite among the Achaeans. So there's some big words here. I'm actually curious. I'm going to look them up real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I looked it up. So maledictions means curse, and parricide means killing of a parent. So the mortals checked his anger. In other words, he convinced him not to kill his dad, reminding him of a rumor among the people of men's maledictions, men's curses, repeated, that I might not be called a parasite, a parent killer among the Achaeans. So he decides not to do it. But now no more could the heart in my breast be ruled entirely to range still among the halls when my father was angered. Rather, it was the many kinsmen and cousins about me who held me close to the house, with supplications repeated. So they're like, stick around, your dad will not be angry forever. And slaughtered fat sheep in their numbers, and shambling horn-curved cattle, and numerous swine with fat abundant upon them, were singed and stretched across the flame of Hephaestus. That's just a fancy word for fire, right? They cooked. And much wine was drunk and was stored in the jars of the old man. 9 nights they slept nightlong in their places beside me, and they kept up an interchange of their watches. And okay, so his family in this area, before we move on, is staying at his house. They're eating the food and they're drinking all the wine, and their whole goal is to keep him there. All right, and the fire, the fire was never put out. One below the gate of the strong closed courtyard, and one in the antechamber before the doors of the bedroom. But on the 10th night, when the 10th night had come to me in its darkness, then I broke the closed, compacted doors of the chamber and got away and overleapt the fence in the courtyard. So Phoenix escapes on the 10th night. Note here there's some symmetry, right? On the 10th year, they take, I'm still in green, that's fine. So 10th year, they take Troy, right? And we have the number here on the 10th night. He escapes, okay? So this is just something, 10 is a number of completion for the Greeks. And so it makes sense that he would escape on the 10th night. You wonder why they don't guard him a little more on the 10th night, but this is just for storytelling. So anyways, on the 10th night, he escapes. Then I fled far away through the wild spaces of Hellas and came as far as Genus Phthia, mother of sheepflocks to Lord Peleus. This is Achilles' father, right? Who accepted me with goodwill and gave me his love, even as a father loves his own son, who is a single child brought up among many possessions. He made me a rich man and granted me many people, and I lived, lord of the Dolops, in remotest Phthia, and godlike Accolas, I made you all that you are now. And I loved you out of my heart, for you would not go with another out to any feast, nor taste any food in your own house, until I had set you on my knees, and cut little pieces from the meat, and given you all you wished for, and held the wine for you. So, Phoenix finds a home in Phthia, and it's Achelous' home. And they're close, right? Achelous is always eating in his halls, and it's even closer than that. And many times you soaked the shirt that was on my body with wine that you would spit up in the troublesomeness of your childhood. This is going through probably teenage angst. So I have suffered so much through you and have had much trouble, thinking always how the gods would not bring birth to any children of my own. So that was you, godlike Achelous. I made my own child, so that someday you might keep hard affliction from me. So Achelous is the son that Phoenix could not have. And so this is a father-son. It's more than just a mentor. It's in many ways it's a father-son relationship. And so this is really important to understand that this person would have had great esteem in Achelous' life, and his words should matter greatly. Then Achelous, beat down your great anger. It is not yours to have a pitiless heart. The very mortals can be moved. Their virtue and honor and strength are greater than ours are, and yet with sacrifice and offerings for endearment, and with libations and with savor, men turn back even the immortals in supplication. When any man does wrong and transgresses. So he's saying, like, listen, even the gods change their mind. Don't have a pitiless or cruel heart. For there are also the spirits of prayer, the daughters of great Zeus, and they are lame of their feet and wrinkled and cast their eyes sidelong. So this is interesting. We have the spirits of prayer, okay, and they cast their eyes sidelong. Right down here, I don't want to give it to you. What do you think it means that they cast their eyes sidelong and they have wrinkled feet? Because look how they are compared to. They toil on their way, left far behind by the spirit of ruin, right? But she, ruin, is strong and sound on her feet. She doesn't have the wrinkled feet, and therefore far arounds all the prayers and wins into every country to force men astray, and the prayers follow as healers after her. So what do you think it means the spirits of prayer look sideways and have wrinkles on their feet? And then ruin, who's stronger than them, goes in front of them. But listen, the prayers follow as healers after her, right? I want you to think about that and maybe write down somewhere why you think prayers and ruin are described this way. It's actually rather brilliant when you think about the connections between ruin and prayers. All right, if a man venerates these daughters of Zeus as they draw near, such a man will bring great advantage and bear his entreaty. But if a man shall deny him and stubbornly with a harsh word refuse, they go to Zeus and Accolas in supplication that ruin may overtake this man, that he be hurt and punished. So you either pray to the prayers or you acknowledge them, okay? Or ruin will overtake you and you will be punished. They will go to Zeus. Once again, I love the interplay between ruin and prayers there. That's one of the reasons why I love the Iliad. Interesting connections. Anyways, so Achilles, grant you also that Zeus's daughters be given their honor, which lordly though they may be, curbs the will of others, right? Zeus's daughters being prayer, since we are not bringing gifts and naming still more hereafter. So prayer is also, it's a synonym for supplication or asking, right? So he's saying, like, honor what people are asking of you. Atreus' son, so he's saying Agamemnon, were he to remain swollen with rancor, that's hate, even I would not bid you throw your anger aside, nor defend the Argives, though they need you sorely. So if Phoenix would not ask Achilles to fight if Agamemnon did not send gifts, and if he was still hateful. But see now, he offers you much straight away, and has promised you more hereafter. He has sent the best men to supplicate you, to ask of you, choosing them out of the Achaean host, those who to yourself are the dearest of all the Argives. Do not make in vain their argument, nor their footsteps, though before this one could not blame your anger. So don't make in vain, don't waste it, right? So listen, he's saying Agamemnon sent gifts, he sent good men to ask you. Don't make this whole trip in vain. Don't make it worthless. Well, he's also going to tell a story here to kind of give Achilles a little bit more incentive to actually take these gifts. Thus it was in the old days also, the deeds that we hear of from the great men, when the swelling anger descended upon them. The heroes would take gifts. They would listen and be persuaded. So old heroes listened when gifts were given. For I remember this action of old, that is not a new thing, and how it went. You are all my friends, and I will tell you. So here's the story. The Curetes and the steadfast Aetolians, I forgot to circle Aetolians, were fighting and slaughtering each other about the city of Clydon. the Aetolians in the lovely Clydon's defense, and the Curetes furious to storm and sack in war. For Artemis, she of the golden hair, had driven this evil upon them, angered that Aeneas is the king, right, of Clydons, had not given the pride of the orchards to her first fruits. The rest of the gods were given due sacrifice, but alone to this, the daughter of great Zeus, he had given nothing. So nothing's going to make a god more angry when you give all of them something, but you leave her out. Remember Iris not being invited to a wedding? All right? Or Eris, sorry. He had forgotten or had not thought in his hard delusion, that's wrong thinking, and in the wrath at his whole mighty line, the Lady of Arrows sent upon them the fierce wild boar with the shining teeth, who after the way of its kind did much evil to the orchards of Aeneas. So Artemis sends a wild boar to tear up the orchards, which she's mad about, right? For he ripped up the whole tall trees in the ground and scattered them headlong, roots and all, even to the very flowers of the orchard. The son of Ioannis killed this boar. This is Meleagros, okay? And he's going to be a strong warrior in this story, okay? Assembling together many hunting men out of numerous cities with their hounds, since the boar might not have been killed by a few men. So huge was he, and had put many men in the sad fire for burning, but the goddess made a great stir of anger and crying battle over the head of the boar and the bristling boar's hide between the Curetes and high-hearted Aetolians. So this is the source of the battle. So long as Meleagros' lover of battle stayed in the fighting, it went worse for the Curetes. So Meleagros is a great fighter. They could not even hold their ground outside the wall. So Meleagros pushed the Curetes back while he was fighting, though there were many. But when the anger came upon Meleagros, such anger as wells in the hearts of others, though the minds are careful, he, in the wrath of his heart against his own mother Athelia, lay apart with his wedded bride Cleopatra the lovely. So for some reason, Meleagros is angry. Okay, and it doesn't specify, at least in my first reading, it doesn't specify why he's angry. Okay, but he is gone to his room and he's not fighting anymore. All right, so that's what's going on there. He lay apart with his wedded bride Cleopatra, the lovely daughter of the sweet stepping Marpessa, child of Eunice. And we have a little story about Idas here. It's a mini story, which is sometimes why this book is confusing to read, because we have little stories in the side of other little stories that are inside the big story, right? And Idas, who was she's the daughter of Eunice and Idas. I need to circle that. Who was the strongest of all men upon earth in this time, for even he took up the bow to face the king's onset. Phoebus Apollo, for the sake of the sweet stepping maiden, the girl her father had honored and other mother had named in their place. Alcone, seabird, as by name, since for her sake her mother, with a sorry-laden cry of a seabird, wept because far-reaching Phoebus Apollo had taken her. Okay, so this is the mini story about Cleopatra and her parents. With this Cleopatra, he lay mulling his heart sore anger, raging by reason of his mother's curses, which she called down from the gods upon him, in grief upon the death of the brother. Oh, there it is. So it's something with the death of her brother. And many times, beating with her hands on the earth abundant, she called on Hades and on the honored Persephone. I don't know if I missed something here, but here's going to be my guess. I'm guessing somehow, probably in the battle, his mother's brother was killed, possibly by his hands. So, there is definitely, he is in his room, and his mother is calling curses down upon him. She called Hades and honored Persephone, lying at length along the ground, and the tears were wet on her bosom, to give death to her son, so she wants him to die. And Eurynes, the mist-walking, she of the heart without pity, heard her out of the dark places. Presently there was thunder about the gates, and the sound rose of the towers under the assault, And the Aetolian elders supplicated him. Who are they supplicating? All the way here. They're supplicating Maligros, who's holed up in his room. Sending forth their noblest princes of the nobles to come forth and defend them, they offered him a great gift. Wherever he might lie, the richest ground in lovely Calydon, there they told him to choose out a piece of land, an entirely good one of 50 acres, and half of it to be vineyard, and half of it unworked plowland of the plain to be furrowed. So they're offering him a great gift to come and help. And the aged horseman, Onias, again and again entreated him. Even his own father entreated him. Note here that Phoenix is entreating Accolas, right? There's symmetry there. And took his place at the threshold of the high vaulted chamber, and shook against the bolted doors, pleading with his own son. And again his honored mother and his sisters entreated him, but only he refused them more, when his own friends, who were the most honored and dearest of all, entreated him, but even they could not persuade the heart within him, until, as the chamber was under close assault, the courtiers were mourning along the towers, and set fire to the great city. And then, at last, his wife, the fair girdled bride, supplicated Maligros in tears, and rehearsed in their numbers before him all the sorrows that had come to men when their city was taken. So she comes in, she's like, listen, we have been taken. The city is on fire. They kill the men, and the fire leaves the city in ashes, and the strangers lead the children away, and the deep-girdled children. So the children and women are already being taken as slaves. And the heart, as he listened to all this evil, was stirred within him, and he rose and clothed his body in shining armor. And so he gave way in his heart, and drove back the day of evil from the Aetolians. Yet these no longer would make good on their many and gracious gifts. Yet he drove back evil from them. So he does eventually fight, and he does eventually help to win. But what is it? Well, he gets no gifts. Right? No gifts. Listen then, and do not have such a thought in your mind. Let not the spirit within you turn that away, dear friend. It would be worse to defend the ships after they are burning, right? Just like with Maligros. With the gifts promised, go forth. The Achaeans will honor you as they would an immortal. This is exactly what Achilles wants, right? Go now, not later. You want to be honored. But if without gifts you would go into fighting where men perish, your honor will no longer be as great, though you drive back the battle. This is a great argument, right? This is a fantastic argument that he's giving here. Here's Achilles' response. Then in answer to him spoke Accolas of the swift feet. Phoenix, my father, aged, illustrious, such honor is a thing I need not. I think I'm honored already in Zeus's ordinance, which will hold me here beside my cursed ships as long as life's wind stays in my breast. So why does Accolas not see this as Zeus is doing? This is very, very interesting that he sees this, that he sees Zeus's ordinance as something slightly separate. I would take it as this is Zeus fulfilling his promise to you. Anyways, moving on. As long as my knees have their spring beneath me, and put away your thoughts, this other thing I tell you. Stop confusing my heart with the lamentation and sorrow for the favor of great Atrides, Agamemnon, right? It does not become you to love this man for fear you turn hateful to me who love you. But it should be your pride with me to hurt whomever shall hurt me. Be king equally with me and take half my honor. What he's saying here is be a partner in my anger, right? You should want to hurt whoever hurts me. Don't take Agamemnon's side. These men will carry back the message. You stay here and sleep here in a soft bed, and we shall decide tomorrow as dawn shows whether to go back home or else remain here. So they will decide in the morning. So Accolas still has a hard heart. But we're going to get one more last final plea for Accolas. See if he listens. He spoke and saying nothing, nodded with his brows. I always love that. Nodded with his brows to Patroclus. We've seen this several times in the book. This is one of those interesting phrases that occurs over and over in the Iliad. To make up a neat bed for Phoenix, so the others might presently think of going home from his shelter. So he's making a bed, kind of like hinting to the other ones, saying, get out of here, we're done. The son of Telamon, Aias the godlike, the one of the great shield, remember, saw and now spoke his word among them. Son of Laertes, seed of Zeus, resourceful Odysseus, let us go. I think that nothing will be accomplished by argument on this errand. It is best to go back quickly and tell this story, though it is not good. Right, so let's go. We're wasting our time here. It's not good. To the Danaans who are waiting for us to come back, seeing that Achilles has made savage the proud-hearted spirit within his body. Now note here, he's talking to his buddies, but he's also kind of talking to Achilles, right? He's trying to convince him. He is hard and does not remember that friend's affection wherein we honored him by the ships, far beyond all others, right? He's saying Achilles will not even listen to those closest to him. Pitiless, he has no pity. And yet a man takes from his brother's slayer the blood price, for the price of a child who was killed, and the guilty one, when he was largely repaid, stays in the country, and the injured man's heart is curbed, and his pride and his anger when he has taken the price. Okay, so he's saying that even if a man's child is killed, okay, a certain price will allow him to get over it, right? But the gods put in your breast, as Achilles' breast, a spirit not to be placated bad for the sake of one single girl. Yet now we offer you 7, okay? We offer you much, surpassing lovely and much beside these. Now make gracious the spirit within you, respect your own house. See, we are under the same roof with you, from the multitude of Danaans, we who desire beyond all others to have your honor and love out of all the Achaeans. So we're your close friends. And he's basically saying this: respect us and respect your family name and fight. Then in answer to him, Achilles spoke Achilles of the swift feet, son of Telamon, seed of Zeus, Aias, lord of the people. All that you said seems spoken after my own mind. In other words, I agree. I agree with you. Yet, is a big but still the heart in me swells up in anger, and I remember the disgrace that that's Agamemnon, wrought upon me before the Argives, the son of Atreus, right, Agamemnon, as if I were some dishonored vagabond. Do you then go back to him and tell him this message, that I shall not think again of the bloody fighting until such a time as the son of wise Priam, Hector the brilliant, comes all the way to the ships, the Myrmidons, and their shelters, slaughtering the Argives, and shall darken with fire our vessels. But around my own shelter, I think, beside my black ship, Hector will be held, though he's very hungry for battle. So Achilles will not fight until his own ships are attacked. And even then, he's not even guaranteeing he'll help the rest of the Achaeans. He's basically saying a big fat no. He spoke, and they, taking each a 2-handled cup, poured out a libation. A libation is agreeing to God. They always did this just to get the blessing of the gods from what they're doing. And they went back to their ships, and Odysseus led them. Now Patroclus gave the maids and his followers orders to make up without delay the neat bed for Phoenix, and these obeyed him and made up the bed he had commanded, laying fleeces on it and a blanket and a sheet with fine linen. There the old man lay down and waited for divine dawn. But Accolas slept on the inward corner of the strong-built shelter, and a woman lay beside him, the one he had taken from Lesbos, Phorbas' daughter, Diomede of the fair clothing. And in the other corner Patroclus went to bed. With him also was a girl, Iphis of the fair girdle, whom brilliant Achelous gave him when he took sheer Skyros, Eunaeus' citadel. So they go to bed, and now we're going to talk a little bit about the Achaeans and what's going on with them, the rest of the Achaeans. All right. Now when these had come back to the shelters of Agamemnon, the sons of the Achaeans greeted them with the gold cups, uplifted. They were hoping, right? One after the other standing and asked them questions. And the first to question them was the Lord of men Agamemnon. Tell me, honored Odysseus, great glory of the Achaeans, is he, Achelous, willing to fight the ravening fire away from our vessels? Or did he refuse, and does the anger still hold his proud heart? Achelous, did he accept? Then long-suffering Odysseus spoke to him in answer, Son of Atreus, most lordly king of men, Agamemnon, that man will not quench his anger, but still more than ever is filled with rage. He refuses you and refuses your parents' presence. He tells you yourself to take counsel among the Argives, and how to save your ships and the people of the Achaeans. And he himself has threatened that tomorrow, as dawn shows, he will drag down his strong-benched, oar-swept ships to the water. So Achelous said no, and even threatened to leave. He said it would be his counsel to the others also to sail back home again. He's going to even tell other people to go home, since no longer will you find any term set on the sheer city of Ilion, since Zeus of the wide brows has strongly held his own hand over it, and his people are made bold. So he spoke. There are these who attest to it that went there with me. Also Aias, the two heralds. So these are the witnesses, right? Both men a good counsel, but aged Phoenix stayed there for the night, and Achilles urged him, so he might go home in the ships to the beloved land of his fathers, if Phoenix will, but he will never use force to persuade him. So a couple other things to note what we just read. First of all, he's saying he's not only going, Achilles is not only saying he won't go, but he's also saying that he's going to counsel others to sail back, right? Because it's clear that Zeus, okay, is protecting Troy, okay? So he's saying, hey, I'm not only going to go, but I think you should all go as well. So he spoke, and all of them stayed stricken to silence, in amazement at his words, and he had spoken to them very strongly. For a long time the sons of the Achaeans said nothing in sorrow, but at last Diomedes, the great war of Christ, spoke to them. Son of Atreus, that's Agamemnon, most lordly man Agamemnon, I wish you had not supplicated, I wish you had not asked the blameless son of Peleus with the innumerable gifts offered. So many gifts, right? So, Diomedes, I wish we had never asked Accolas for help. He is a proud man without this, and now you have driven him deeper into his pride. Right? I love that line. He is a proud man now, and now you have driven him deeper into his pride. You gave him things, and you fed his pride. Rather, we shall pay him no more attention, whether he comes with us or stays away. He will fight again, whatever time comes that the heart in his body urges him to, and the gods drive him. So he'll fight at some point, but who knows when that'll be. Come then, do as I say, let us all be won over. Let us all agree. Go to sleep, now that the inward heart is made happy with food and drink, for those who are the strength and the courage within us. But when the lovely dawn shows forth with rose fingers, Atreides, Agamemnon, rapidly form before the ships, both people and horses, stirring to them, and yourself be ready to fight for the foremost. Okay, so let's go to sleep and let's make a plan in the morning. All right, we're going to fight. So he spoke, and all the kings gave their approval, acclaiming the word of Diomedes, breaker of horses, and they poured out a libation. That's another offering to the gods, and each man went to his shelter, where they went to the beds and took the blessing of slumber. So, the big takeaway from Book 9. Achelous seemingly has everything he wants given to him. Remember, we talked about this in Book 1. He wants glory. He wants to be seen as the savior of the Achaeans. And yet he says no. So, his anger, Achelous' anger, makes him, I'm just going to say it, makes him foolish. It goes all the way back, right, to this part with the daughters of Zeus, right? Prayers and ruin. You see, because according to Phoenix, if he does not listen to the prayers or supplications, then ruin is going to come to him. So I think we can safely guess that some kind of ruin is going to come to Achelous. He is going to regret not taking this offer. Okay? I think he will regret this. So, there you go. In a Book 9. Let's see what happens. Talk to you guys later.